Hey, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, thanks for checking me out. Today, I wanted to share some of the top beginner riffs of all time, or at least the ones that have been asked from me the most. So let's get to it. Okay, so like I was saying in the intro, today I wanted to go over the most entry-level beginner riffs of all time, the most recommended. So let's get it. First off, has to be So Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. This is a classic beginner riff. It's a power chord. That's not a hard power chord. We can get into that in the later riffs. But what's great about this one is it's all focused around this D and G string. So if you just play the single note, 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5, 0, 3, 5, 3, open. That'll get you there. But if you can add the string beneath it, play the D and the G string at the same time, maybe plucking it with your fingers like I am here, or maybe picking both strings at once, and you can bar this with your left hand, or you can use two fingers to hit both strings. Whatever you decide, whatever's more comfortable. But I feel like, and I've seen, day one players play this riff. So next up on our list, and one of the first riffs I ever learned, was Iron Man by Black Sabbath. So let's get it. So classic, so powerful, and just such a riff. I believe in the real song, he plays power chords, but over the years, I've transferred over to these kind of octave chords. But I think it's really power chords with that. So classic. And then, of course, and I'll have to tune my guitar after this, the intro of that song. If you didn't know, it's one of these little bendies behind the nut, which, you know, might not recommend for beginners, but if you want to get it. Alright, so, next riff. Alright, next up on our list might be one of the first fingerpick songs, or maybe something you learn on an acoustic guitar, but it's Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. I mean, you could just play that for hours, and I did, believe it. I remember going over to my friend's house. He had an acoustic guitar. I didn't know anything about guitar yet. He showed me those 4 strings, the E string, the G, B, and high E string in that little loopy rotation. Okay, so after Metallica hit the scene and was all heavy, there had to be somebody else. There had to be a band that would redefine all the music as we know it today. And that band was Nirvana with Smells Like Teen Spirit. Another great power chord song intro where you can play one note, the bass note of the song, the root note of the chord, and you can get there. That'll get you started. Day one players, I've seen rock this. First fret, low E string. Then go down to the first fret A string. and do the same thing. 4th fret, and then just go down a string again, 4th fret, A string. Got this little kind of rectangle over here. And then if you can get the power chord, you're getting there. But then top of the mountain is the full chord with the scratches in between. And something I learned years ago is Kurt Cobain is left-handed, played a left-handed guitar upside down sometimes, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But I believe the song, the first stroke, is an upstroke, counter to normal convention. So on to the next riff. Oh my goodness, and what a riff this is. This has to be the most requested riff I've ever been asked for from students. Given I teach middle school to high school level kids, but I've taught this to people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, it is just a classified banger. Anthem rock. Okay, so what we're talking about today is the White Stripes classic, Seven Nation Army. Yes, my friends, the two-person band, White Stripes, Jack White and his sister. Oh my gosh, unbelievable. And he's playing this bass line on a guitar with an octave pedal, I believe. But once again, a power chord kind of riff. But if you just play the root lines, easily recognizable. Sports fans, casual listeners, children of the 90s, everybody knows this song. So, great song, good one to have under your belt, almost never gets old. On to the next riff. And this riff, kind of like Black Sabbath, but only a member from Black Sabbath, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne. I. So, once again, a power chord intro riff. So iconic, so classic. Your dad, your stepdad, stepmom, they're gonna love it. Shout out. Shout out to Ben Eller. Shout out, my dude. Big fan. Okay, so the Crazy Train intro starts over here on the 2nd fret low E string, power chord riffery, but single notes. If you can only do that, gets it done. 2nd, 5th fret, open, 2nd fret, go down to the A string, 5th fret, E string, 2nd fret, and then you just repeat that in a loop. 5th fret, open, 2nd fret, A string, 5th fret, open, 2nd fret. Right? And then if you add the power chord, hey, I know that's a lot of info, so let's take a brain break and thank our sponsor, you, the subscriber. Thank you so much for being here. This is a growing channel. I've been watching the analytics and seeing some of you streaming in, and I'm so appreciative. Being a new channel here, I can use all the support I can get. So please consider liking this video, sharing with friends, and also subscribing down below if you so choose. So thank you so much for considering, and let's get back to the video. Awesome riff, very powerful. You probably hear the other line in it. Woo! Lot to build on there. Let's get to the next riff. Changing genre here, changing decades. We're gonna go with one of the first riffs I ever learned. My friend's Uncle Mike showed me this, and I am forever grateful. Was still on bass at the time, but this was a great thing to play on bass as well. And this is Wipeout by the
Safaris.
This was a great one for me because it introduced the idea of using multiple fingers on one string and putting them in an order like that. So it goes 0, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 3, open, 0, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 3, open. And then just goes down a string to the G string and plays the same exact riff. And then it kind of has like this 1-4-5 turnaround deal, which you can find in my last video. Check down below, maybe a card at the end. On to the next. Okay, so next up on our beginner riffs is one of the first riffs I learned on an acoustic guitar that I thought was really cool. And if you're an 80s, 90s kid like I am, this should be very familiar to you. Of course, I'm talking about Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day. Oh, how this infected the radio waves of the 90s. I don't think you could go anywhere without hearing this song at some point. Maybe my introduction to Green Day, can't quite remember, many moons ago. But this is kind of all around a G chord shape, 3rd fret on the low E string, and then he's doing 3rd fret here on the B string and locks that in the whole time. And then you kind of have this moving bass line up top, which is in all sorts of songs. So this is a great introduction to that kind of thing. So then it goes down to this C, 3rd fret A string, and then open D string, G, G, C, D, G, C, D. Great intro to finger picking, just a beautiful song all around, but we must move on to the next. Okay, so this last one is a personal favorite of mine, something I show beginners, and it's just a bonus. This is a bonus. And if you grew up in the 80s like I did, 90s, a little bit later, or you're just someone who loves video games, you will definitely recognize this. And of course, it's the Mario Dungeon. So I like this. I started as a bass player, so anything that slapped and popped and gave me a reason to be extra flamboyant, annoying on my bass, I was certainly doing that. So where this starts, 3rd fret, low E string, twice, open, and then 1st fret. And as a beginner, this is a good way to just get used to fretting. The idea of putting the finger down into the wood, pushing down, applying that pressure. Then you just go down a string set. Like a lot of these riffs, play the exact same thing. That's your rhythm. And then of course, extra bonus, since we're on the level of video games, the Pac-Man sound. Love showing that to beginners when they're first getting used to the pick, holding the pick. This off angle here, we'll probably have a lesson one day about how to properly hold your pick and whatnot. But take the pick, kind of grab the strings, not too firm, just kind of touch them, and just drag that pick right through the strings. And then back up. And depending on where your left hand is, you'll get different pitches. So super fun, just to get the right hand rhythm. You know, I'm thinking beginners, I'm thinking entry level, I'm thinking fun. Thank you so much for checking out the video. And if you wouldn't mind, hitting the subscribe down below. We're a new channel here and we're just starting to grow. So if you'd give me that support, I'd really appreciate it. If you could hit the like, the share, just hit like, hit subscribe. It makes them mad if you don't. Okay. So thank you so much. See you next time.